Well, Listen is a book helping people become comfortable with public speaking.
And joining us now to share some tips and techniques is voiceover actress Lizzie Waterworth. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Welcome to the stage, because are you used to this kind of weather? Where you're from?
This is so left field. Our whole country would stop right now, this weather, but you guys are just keep on rolling.
There you go. And in the vein of keep on going, earlier we were talking about how kids, Generation or Gen Z, is having such a hard time trying to get into the workplace because they don't really know how to communicate and interact.
Yeah.
So this is a key as to it needs to start early, because you're working with a lot of middle school or younger kids about how to communicate.
Yeah.
How do you teach that to someone that young?
Yeah, so what happens is, my job is a voice actor, so I voice in loads and loads of cartoons, and I've been doing that for nearly 20 years now. And so I get to do a lot of workshops with kids around voice acting and speaking. And during COVID, a lot of the kids were asking online about confidence, and this word confidence kept coming up. And they were saying, how do you speak to new people? How do you talk to your class? And I get so nervous, I don't know what to do. And so I was looking for a book on the subject, and I couldn't find one book for kids on this subject. So I thought, I'm going to write one. So I started writing a book with tips and techniques based on my career of voicing. And then it's sort of snowballed, and then I got friends involved from other cartoons and a few celebrities, and it's just become this lovely, wonderful thing where everybody's got involved to help kids. Everyone's just so on board because kids. So I think that the idea is to make it as fun as possible, so it doesn't feel boring. Because learning this stuff doesn't have to be boring. You know, it's key, easy tricks and tips just to be able to look at people in the eyes and smile when you're talking. And be able to speak to someone new, and which can cause such anxiety, even for grown-ups, like for us, you know.
Well, kids, I think in general too, especially like upper grade school and middle school kids, just tend to be a little bit shyer anyway in that age. So what is a tip that you give kids to build their confidence to feel comfortable speaking? Yeah,
so one of the questions I get asked the most by kids is, what do you do if you're standing there and you're ready and you've got your speech and you just freeze and you just go completely blank and you don't know what to do? So what I say is, imagine a VR headset that you put on, and you place it on your head and you start imagining the audience smiling at you. You start imagining doing well. You imagine that you're presenting yourself, people are smiling at you. And once you start forming that image in your head, just keep that in your mind, take a moment, take a pause, and then start what you're going to say. And I almost guaranteed it'll just help you feel a little bit more confident.
So what age group are we talking here? Because you've already been visiting schools. You were in Niles, and
Des Plaines, and Chicago City Day School, who I've partnered with. They take this stuff really seriously in their curriculum, public speaking. So it's middle grade, really. But I've been doing a little bit older and a little bit younger and adapting the workshops just, you know, to make it interactive and fun.
Well, because this is an area of kids' lives as they become adults that reaches everywhere. Their jobs, their education, their social life, everything. So it's really important. I'm a little surprised that kids don't start this until a little bit later.
I know. This is what baffles me. You know, we teach kids reading and writing, and yet speaking is just sort of forgotten, which is why Chicago City Day, Chris Dow, the principal, is so hot on this stuff. It's wonderful, and they start the kids really early, and you can just see the confidence from kindergarten. You know, they're told to do these presentations, not in a scary way, but just in a, here's some tips, let's get started. So so I think if you can start as soon as possible, just encourage your kids to speak and encourage them to use these little tips and tricks, just eye contact, smiling, basic
So
things,
the book you have, is it for parents to teach the kids how to do it, or is it for the kids to read and learn how to do it themselves?
So officially it's for kids. It's got pictures, there's a wonderful illustrator, has done all these amazing graphics. It's different fonts to make it jump out for kids. But the amount of parents and grown-ups that have been saying, oh, I've been reading this book and it's actually pretty helpful. Especially there's a section for Zoom calls, because Zoom calls can be so scary, and it's knowing how to look at the screen, and do you have your camera on, and then you have that awkward bit at the beginning where you're smiling, do you say anything? It's just awkward all around. So if you can remove the awkwardness by having things in place that you can do, and little tiny tips like that. So
like everything else in life, it's being prepared, right?
Exactly.
Knowing your material, being prepared.
Where to sit.
So what's one thing you can say to parents, because mostly it's probably parents out there watching right now, that you could teach your kids, or you should be doing with your kids right now to get them prepared to be able able to interact with others?
So my biggest tip would be to just encourage your children to speak as much as possible, which sounds really simple and obvious, but the amount of times, I know as a parent, it's busy, you're at home, you're rushed, you don't have time often to sit and do these things, but encourage them, talk about your day, tell me about your day, spend 5 minutes talking to me. I won't say a word, although there's so many questions I want to ask you about your day. And just talk to me and just get them to open up in an easy environment, or even while you're driving, because then you're not looking at them. And that's when my son I don't get much out of him, but when we're driving and he's next to me and I'll say, oh, so how's school? And then I get information, and that's a really nice way to make it easy and let them talk. Yeah.
Well, Lizzie, thank you so much for coming in and sharing it. LizzieWaterworth.com. I guess this is where we can find the book as well.
Yeah, Barnes & Noble. We're working with Evanston, Booked in Evanston, which is a lovely bookshop, and all the normal places, Amazon, online, and support your local bookstores as well. Though.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you
so much.
All right.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.